So if you think about today's landscape, I describe it in two ways. One, fairly fragmented, right? The second one, I would say identity has been overall more and more challenged over the past few years. And I think Ogury's take on those challenges really was to say, all right, we need to effectively invest in a future-proof solution. So effectively something that helps us, address media spend and find the right personas, right? What we call personas, as opposed to the right people. So by design, our methodology is based on effectively finding audiences that have the right mindset, the right characteristics, without effectively encroaching on their privacy.
You talked about this idea of redefining addressability. Wanted to get your sense of what addressable advertising means in 2025.
Yeah. So addressability, at least for me, used to mean being able to find someone, effectively having information on this particular impression opportunity. I think the way I would describe it today is not necessarily tied to the person itself, but effectively having enough information to make an educated decision as to whether or not you want to buy this impression. And I think, I would argue this is the correct definition as of today in 2025, because it won't just let by the wayside, the open web that has its challenges, or new environments like CTV, where effectively identity is more of a challenge. That's how I would describe it.
Balancing performance and privacy, constantly at odds, how does Ogury strike that balance?
Yeah. So, I think everybody always opposes performance and privacy. The choice we've made by design was to say, privacy shouldn't be a constraint on top of an existing model. It should be a key kind of part of how we define our algorithm from the get-go. So the choice we've made was to invest in what we call zero-party data. So effectively self-declared, survey-based information that users will effectively give us. What this helps us do is it effectively helps us do better on a number of things, whether it's opinions, attitudes, mindsets, the types of things that you wouldn't necessarily find in first or third party data elsewhere. I always like to say, you wouldn't try to guess the next winner of an election by looking at, your Walmart, point of purchase data. That data is super valuable in and of itself, but there's a number of things that brands are looking for today and that they just can't get anywhere else.
Tom's wanted to see what's next on your AI product roadmap, particularly in terms of the way you're trying to help shape the connection between advertisers and audiences.
Yeah. So AI's been on our roadmap for a few years now, actually, whether it's predictive targeting, whether it's building our persona models in and of themselves. We actually have a number of data scientists and effectively folks that come from the survey and panel world, and they have tons of great input, but just processing that amount of data at scale and being able to effectively mesh survey data with any sort of third-party data or any sort of open source data, that isn't necessarily something that we'd be able to scale manually. And so I think from both a model standpoint, but also just operational efficiency, it's something that we have been leveraging and we'll keep investing on in the next few years.